Chair, so House Bill 2770 creates a voluntary school trauma training program. It was really inspired by legislation that's passed in Ohio and other states, specifically Ohio FASTER, and you can check that out at fastersaveslives.org. FASTER stands for Faculty Administrator Safety Training and Emergency Response. Essentially, in 2016, there was a young person on a playground at school who was struck in the leg by a bullet, and I have had the tragic opportunity to listen to the 911 tapes and hear accounts from family members and school officials who were there. He bled to death, and he bled to death for lack of training and experience by the people there who were trying very hard to save him, and it rips the heart out of you when you hear this sort of thing, Mr. Chairman. There are other bills that are sort of parallel to this. I want to speak to those bills briefly. I understand that it might be the pleasure of the committee to incorporate this, and I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I do think our bill is better, and I'll tell you why. School trauma training in this bill would be voluntary. It's not mandated, so it's not an unfunded mandate. It's not an expenditure. It's funded by grants, and there's no tax increase or budget outlay. There's no good reason not to have these items. Essentially what this bill would do is put trauma items and blood stop loss kits as outlined by FASTER into the schools who voluntarily chose to do it. It's not just for school shootings. Obviously, broken glass or any other blood loss incident could be addressed with this training and these equipments. There's really no downside for these reasons. It's only upside. And you know, essentially, Mr. Chairman, to summarize, I'd say stay ready so you don't have to get ready. There are other bills. Delegate Wilt has a bill. The difference between this and that is this is voluntary, allows schools to opt in. Delegate Wilt's bill is merit-based, and schools need to win these grants, if you will. It's competitive. I like competition, but I also like our schools being safe in the case of school shootings. And finally, Delegate Clark's House Bill 1700, which is a good bill as well, but I think that the difference between this is that this is mandatory. It's a requirement in his bill, whereas it would be voluntary. And it also goes into great specificity, which is, I understand, as to what has to be in these trauma kits. I don't think we need to sort of micromanage our schools that way, but again, great bills, and I understand that the committee may act in any number of ways. I would just hope that the committee would recognize the importance for training our teachers and administrators consistent with the Ohio FASTER ideals, and that we might have faculty and administrators better prepared to respond in case of emergencies so kids don't lose their lives when they need not have to have.
Thank you, Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Questions from the committee. Now we'll turn anyone wishing to be heard in person on the bill in favor or opposed. We turn online. We have one person online wanting to join us for 2770.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. I want to thank Delegate Garrett for bringing this very important bill. I'd like to point out a few things. First off, I'm here representing Virginia Citizens Defense League, myself, and FASTER Saves Lives. Philip Van Cleve could not be here, and Jim Irvine from FASTER Saves Lives could not be here, so they asked that I speak for them as well. We are strongly in support of this bill. Time is all that matters in the event of a traumatic injury. We hear a lot about mass murders that take place in schools. When such an event happens, God forbid it happens in a Virginia school, but if it should, it takes time for law enforcement to arrive on the scene. Once they arrive, they have to assess the situation. Then they have to clear the threat before emergency medical is allowed to enter the premises. And in those precious
Thank you, Ms. Webb.
People that are bleeding can bleed out.
Thank you.
Private schools also would be able to train their staff with
Thank you, Ms. Webb.
Grant money.
Thank you so much. The bill is back before the committee.
Mr. Chair.
Delegate LaVere-Bowling.
I have a motion.
Delegate LaVere-Bowling.
And in speaking to the motion, I'd like to thank the patron very much for bringing forth the legislation. As noted by the patron, we did in fact have a bill already come through this committee that does something very similar, and so I'd like to see where that goes. And with that, I would move that we table HB 2770.
Motion is made and properly seconded to gently table 2770. Members may please cast their vote. Clerk can close.